welcome again to another episode of NCP, or Nerd Central Podcast. My name is Stazz, and with this episode, we're actually going to be talking about the Age of Ultron teaser trailer that just got released on October 22nd. And what I want to talk about is some pros, cons, some key scenes, and potentially what could this mean for the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is more or less the first movie-centered podcast that I've done so far. I do intend to do more of the movie reviews, I guess you could say, or movie talks. And hopefully we can get some more people that can jump in on that and help with that. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any means of adding extra audio or video of the trailer that you can view on your own on YouTube or Google it or whatever the case may be. I'm going to be talking about some of the scenes and whatnot, and we'll go from there. So, we're actually going to start with pros and cons. Pros. I'm just going to outright say phenomenal trailer. Phenomenal teaser trailer. It's narrated by James Raynor. Oh crap. James. He's the actor who plays in Blacklist, and he narrates pretty much 80% of the trailer. And with him, he's basically he's saying more or less what the world's going to become. He's going to show the Avengers something beautiful. And there's various scenes of people screaming, destruction, booms and explosions and gases and stuff like that. I'm sorry, not James Raynor, it's James Spader. My mistake, James Spader. So, and one thing that you will probably pick up is that this is a very dark teaser trailer. That it's not going to be, all actiony, hokey pokey. Very much how the Avengers trailer was. It's gonna be something that is going to take a turn down, the left path, down the dark path along the forest, and this is really exciting. I will have to say this. This is very, very exciting. Another pro is that we start to see Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and I will say that I'm still up in the air about how Quicksilver looks. I'm sorry. I do like how Scarlet Witch looks. You can't do the classic comic book version. The pink spandex with the big bosom showing out. No, you can't do that. However, I do like how it's like a hipster kind of a look to it, which I think would be fairly good for the character. And you also see them, if you look very closely at the very beginning of the trailer, there's a scene of them where they're kind of protesting something, or kind of in some sort of mob, before they had their transformation or their change, before they were touched by some sort of extra power or something like that. And then afterwards you see them as their Quicksilver Scarlet Witch counterparts, which I thought was very, very interesting. Another pro is that we see the Hulkbuster armor, and we see him actually do a couple of blows against Hulk, and that was actually really, really cool to see. I'm very glad to see how they're going to be doing this, and not necessarily just be a... I hope that they're not going to keep it as like, oh, well, we have the Hulkbuster armor only to use against the Hulk. Hopefully that's not going to be the case. Another thing, too, is that you kind of see it for a quick second, but it's Iron Man's iron suit inside another suit, the Hulkbuster suit. I saw somebody point that on online, and I thought it was actually kind of funny. A suit inside a suit, and he's inside another suit. So that's kind of cool, though. Another thing, too, is that we see more of the same cast. So we see Hawkeye, we see Thor, Scarlet, Black Widow, oh my god, Briggs, I think it was Briggs, Rhodey, I'm sorry, Rhodey, we see Rhodey, what else do we see? We see a couple other characters. I'm blanking out. Nick Fury, of course, Captain America. Blah 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 blah. So it's pretty much going to be the same cast in Avengers, or at least the same characters, I should say, the same characters. Now there has been hints and rumors that they're going to be introducing other Avengers. Miss Marvel is apparently going to be rumored to be at least in maybe a cameo. There is a female character next to Thor. If you look very closely on when you first see Ultron, he's almost like Frankenstein together with different Iron Man parts, and he's talking about how there's strings attached, so you're all covered in strings, and there's a female character next to Thor, which I thought was kind of interesting. People think that could be Miss Marvel. Others think that it could be Jane Foster, or maybe another female character. So again, interesting speculation. Things like that. And another thing too is that I mentioned a little bit earlier is that James Spader, he plays an awesome Ultron voice. Now I will say that I will talk about this more later, but I will say I was expecting more of a metal, almost like Stephen Hawking's, almost kind of like a 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of like robotic, almost like a speak and spell. At least that's all the other versions of Ultron I've encountered. I was expecting a little bit more computerized. Now, I do really like how his voice sounds. He's got a very good voiceover voice, or dub voice, I guess you could say. And it really does add character towards Ultron. Another thing, we can jump into the cons. Now, these necessarily won't be hardcore cons, but... but this could be more or less kind of nitpicks or things that kind of surprised me. While I did like how it's a very dark tone, you do see scenes that more or less kind of throw you kind of like, I wonder what that's about. A lot of scenes with Bruce Banner, his character, Mark Ruffalo, and the Hulk, they seem kind of out of place, to be honest. And the scene that I only really remember is the Hulkbuster scene, where him and Hulk are going at it. Now, there is a couple seconds of Hulk's face. You kind of see... He looks a little weird. I don't know if he's intended to be mind-controlled, or if he's been in a huge battle with something, but it looks like he's got struggle on his face, and it really does look like he's maybe fighting something else other than maybe the Hulkbuster armor. Another thing, too, is that... Now, I do like how Jane Spader does really well on the voice of Ultron. I was really expecting a more robotic voice. Now, this is a personal preference. This is not a major con or nitpick. Something I was expecting. I was kind of like mentally preparing myself for a robotic voice. Didn't get that, but that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. And the Ultron face that we saw at the very end of the trailer, I don't know if that's going to be something that will be a final version of Ultron or a early version of Ultron, because he's got very human-like features. And again, something that is more or less not necessarily a con, but kind of a nitpick. So now I just want to talk about just some key scenes in the trailer. First one, of course, is where we see this Frankenstein Iron Man suit talking to the Avengers and saying that, y'all are covered in a bunch of strings, more or less. I can't do James Spader, I'm sorry, but whatever. Like it, if you don't, so be it. And he picks up what looks to be the Iron Patriot suit, the one in Iron Man 3 that was repurposed. War Machine is the American symbol, almost like as I call it, the Captain America suit. Iron Man suit, which has got the big old star and whatnot. He takes that and he crushes the helmet and kind of throws it in front of him. Like, this is going to be something that's going to be useless. Another thing, too, is towards the middle of the trailer, we see the broken Captain America shield. Now, I haven't read the Age of Ultron comic. I do know that this is going to be loosely based on the comic storyline, and I'm not going to take everything, verbatim or whatever the case may be. It's not going to be like Batman vs. Superman, where they're going to be doing very similar things out from the comic book. But the shield's broken, and we see a hand over the shield, kind of like down, like someone punched somebody out. That can entail that maybe Captain America was defeated or something like that, or badly wounded, that he got knocked out and the shield was destroyed. And another thing as well is that at the very end, towards the end, we see Andy Serkis. Now, this I actually had to look up on. Apparently, Andy Serkis is going to be Ulysses Klaue, which is a very close character tied to Black Panther. I didn't know that, but apparently he is one of the characters that discovers vibranium in the Black Panther comics, and he's one of the first nemesis of Black Panther or something like that, if I remember correctly. So he's going to be using the vibranium, and Ultron is made from vibranium, and this could also entail that his minions will also be made from it, or at least a certain degree of vibranium. And then, of course, we have the very end scene of Ultron saying that he's free and no strings attached, and that's a really, really good scene, and I can't wait to see more trailers about Age of Ultron. Really, really good. If you haven't checked it out, go do it right now. Stop this video. Don't even listen to my video at this point. Just go check it out. I will say that. Now, I just want to get into a little discussion, or I guess a little theory crafting about the movie cinematic universe of the Marvel cinematic universe after Age of Ultron. So, a lot of people have been speculating, and there's been rumors, nothing confirmed yet, rumors about Civil War. I have a personal problem with this because there are key characters that aren't part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I know that they're trying to do a works with Sony's Spider-Man. If they can get that deal struck, using Spider-Man in a Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think that maybe at that point we can see Civil War. On the other hand, if they can't, I would not bet it. However, I can only see one other instance of Civil War working, and this has been a theory that I've heard on the YouTubes, and it's more or less from the Weekly Poll, which is another podcast I listen to, by the Marvel Explain guy on YouTube. Really cool channel. You should check him out. He explains a lot of stuff about the Marvel comics. His recent one he's doing is Age of Ultron. Go check that out right now. But more or less, the reason why Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch can exist in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a legal reason is that they're not going to be called mutants, but I believe that what they're going to be called is Inhumans. Now, Inhumans are a different, I guess you can say, power base in the Marvel in the Marvel comics, and they're a power base that was originally conceived by the Celestials, or the cosmic entities of the Marvel comic books. Now, we've seen Celestials in Guardians of the Galaxy. The gigantic space station is a Celestial head. They're alluded to during the retelling of the Soul Gem, or whatever that gem was. I believe it was the Power Gem, I think, actually. And the Celestials, I think, will be a very big part in the final Thanos Infinity Gauntlet conflict. Just because they don't, nobody has Galactus or Silver Surfer other than Fox, and they're not going to do anything with that, to be honest. And that kind of disappoints me, to be honest, but I digress. So, what does this leave for the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I see two paths. One is that they will continue what we originally assumed in the phase 3 and 4 after Age of Ultron. This will stir up something cosmically, and Thanos is then aware of gems on Earth. This will bring Thanos possibly in maybe Guardians of the Galaxy 2, maybe Iron Man 4, or even Captain America 3. Thanos will then appear, take the gems, and this will set up Avengers 3. Everybody assumes that Avengers 3 will be the Thanos fight. I kind of agree as well. Don't think it's going to be a two-parter, but I do think that his presence will become bigger and bigger and bigger in each of the standalone movies. And then possibly a quasi or actual villain in Guardians of the Lost Galaxy before Avengers 3. Then the second path is, if they don't follow that, with the rumor that Tony Stark, aka Robert Downey Jr., being in Captain America 3, Age of Ultron could set the seeds to aka Civil War, or possibly a Secret War, which is something that a lot of people have been a lot of rumor has been floating around, and is that Secret Wars. I know very, very little about the Secret Wars, other than it's a secret war. I mean, I'm not too super familiar with it, to be honest, and I'm no expert in that comic book line, other than it's very similar to the House of M, things of that nature, where it's a bunch of comic book characters that get put together in a secret area, and they have to go out and stop something, whatever the case may be. I'm not familiar with that. However, if they do pull off the Civil War, I believe that Age of Ultron would then plant seeds, or at least bigger seeds, in that cinematic style. Now, what I do also guess is that what they're going to do is that once they do, if they are going to do the Civil War aspect, I don't think it's going to be called Avengers Civil War. I think what actually might be called is just Civil War, or possibly like a Captain America Civil War or Iron Man Civil War. I don't think that they'll take a time to put the Avengers characters into a Civil War title. To me, that would just be maybe a little bit too confusing for the average moviegoer. Just because, you know, they're watching all this, all of a sudden it says Avengers Civil War, and then it's Iron Man, Tony Stark, all these other characters that they possibly have created since then. Ant-Man, maybe Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Miss Marvel, maybe the Inhumans at this time. You know, why are they in an Avengers film? That might seem strange to some people. So, other than that, I shall end my crazy tin. That's not necessarily a tin hat theory, but speculation, and this will be brought up possibly at other times when we talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I do have another theory about the Celestials, but we'll save that for a later date. And thanks for listening. My name is Stazz, and this was an episode of NCP, or Nerd Central Podcast. And you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And I believe we're going to have an Instagram one up if we haven't already. But anyway, I'm gonna stop it here, and I hope to talk to you later with no strings attached.